Oh, come on, slightly optimistic Arsenal fan. Win a European trophy.
I
I know I
don't
had
do the
that
chat.
today.
Don't chat to me. Don't chat to me. Don't chat to me.
Shameless. All right. Welcome to Wingers and Defenders. I'm Joe Camrota with Christian DeBlock and the slightly optimistic Arsenal fan, Jacob Ford. So today on the docket, we have four topics. And we're going to start off with the first one, which is our statement, which is Burnley's statement regarding the White Lives Matter. Burnley during match week 30 during their match at the Etihad. So a Burnley fan went out of his way to go into the heart of Manchester to fly a flag that said White Lives Matter. White Lives Matter.
It's so bad. I can't even, man.
It's just it's Burnley, so I'm not really surprised knowing what I know about Burnley. But I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
I'll go first. Just the fact that fans of a club in the Premier League during the Black Lives Matter movement decided that it was okay to fly something that is just completely ignorant of what's going on in the world. I just don't. It's horrible. And I'm glad that Ben Mee came out and said it in the press conference that he was embarrassed and all the players were embarrassed because it is embarrassing. And it's just something that can't happen in this Black Lives Matter movement. To me, it's very bad and something that, especially while they were taking the knee, which has been something that a lot of people have really loved to see because of the entire league just coming together and stuff. So, in my opinion, it's just completely ignorant and something that just cannot happen.
Yeah, I think it was just someone trying to prove a point that was just completely insensitive, and even just like they were trying to get people angry. It wasn't like I kind of wonder if they genuinely believe what they said or they just want to get people angry, like to get a reaction, because they know how high tensions are around the world with Black Lives Matter movement in America especially, and in Europe and the UK, all over the world. Doing that during that match was really insensitive and just really like it makes you wonder like how miserable they are, how upset they are that they were willing to do that during a Prem game, which is meant to, like in the beginning of those games, meant to like show support for the Black Lives Matter movement. To me, it's kind of just like, you're just a miserable person, or whoever maybe it's a group of people that organized it. It was just miserable. It's really embarrassing, really. I know a lot of people that are embarrassed by it, especially Burnley FC. I'm happy, like you said, Ben Mee came out and spoke about it, and the club completely denounced it. But yeah, it was just insensitive and just really just embarrassing, really. That's all I have to say on it.
Yeah, it's embarrassing especially for a sport that in Europe especially has a lot of issues with racism. I mean, if you look at the Italian leagues, I was actually just watching a video on the Moise Kean incident last year with Calgary, where
one of your favorite players too.
What?
One of your favorite players as well.
Yeah, one of my favorites. I mean, my favorite non-Spur player, actually. I mean, I love him. He's Italian. I mean, he's my striker personally. I don't know. I don't follow the Italian national team too much, but like, I want him to lift up that World Cup trophy for us at some point. But I mean, when Leonardo Bonucci basically said, you're part of the problem for celebrating after he was receiving racial abuse, that rubbed me a totally wrong way, and I still can't believe that happened. And then I was watching things on ESPN FC from a year ago, and they were kind of saying how the Calgary president was kind of like, our supporters aren't racist. Our supporters aren't racist. Maybe Juventus should watch their player, and maybe he shouldn't do that, because if our striker, I forgot the guy's name, but he was a white guy, comes up and says and starts celebrating as well, they would have said the exact same thing to him. And I'm like, I don't think they would be making monkey noises at a white guy and throwing bananas at him like that. To me, that's not realistic, but it's just disgusting behavior about it. And then we had it in the Prem with and the FA. I know Jacob and I were actually talking about this back when we were at Seton Hall about that one game England played. Do you remember the country it was in where they almost walked off the pitch? Bulgaria, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
That was bad. That game was pretty bad too. I mean, just football in general, especially in those Eastern European countries, there's a lot of racism. And even in England to an extent, we know the history that Chelsea fans have, and they're kind of like stereotyped as the
There was
racist.
an issue with United and City, I believe, at Martial, I believe, in the first
Yep.
year. I
Hmm.
don't remember. I
Yeah.
remember it was at the Etihad, but I don't remember what player they were directed. Actually, it was Fred. I think it was Fred that they directed it towards.
It might have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a problem. Vividly remember, because I was watching the England versus Bulgaria game in Bulgaria. There was like a group of fans that were just like making taunts at like Tyrone Mings, Raheem Sterling, Rashford, making monkey noises. They were doing Nazi salutes. They were doing Nazi chants, and they were threatening to walk off the pitch. And they ended up, I think, stopping the game briefly. And they completed the game, but I mean, it kind of started a whole conversation about what are we going to do about this in Europe. And so far, UEFA, they've talked a lot, but they haven't done a lot, in my opinion. So we'll have to see moving forward. I know in the Prem, they're trying to work hard to kind of eradicate that, but there's still isolated incidents at different clubs in the Prem. So yeah, it's a problem that it's been happening. It's been happening since the Prem probably even started before then. And, you know, it's still continuing, and it needs to stop, really.
Yeah, and just kind of going off that, I mean, we have seen strides in the Premier League, like we've seen with the Black Lives Matter on the back of the jerseys, and some people like it's just for show, but in reality, it does mean a lot to people. I mean, it just putting it out there, making it more known is so important because there's some people who are implicitly biased racism, like they're not explicit out there, like they're racist, but there's a lot of bias in people that people have, and I think just putting it out there and making race a topic that needs to be talked about and is talked about is going to help further and heal racial wounds that have happened all throughout time through the many struggles that we have, like that, especially Europe and England and America and all these countries have put into the world through the slave trade and colonization and all that. So I think really we still have a long way to go, but I mean, England in the Premier League is taking a good step in the right direction. It's unfortunate that Burnley fan had to be racist, and I'm gonna hold. They're trying to keep this PG, so I'm gonna hold off some other words I'd like to say about that man, but or woman. I don't know who it was, but good on Burnley for banning him for the rest of his life and making a quick statement. And so moving on to our second topic of the day or night now. This is for my good friend Christian the Block. Liverpool FC, 2020 Premier League champions. How do you feel about that, my guy?
Definitely. Thank you. Definitely feel very relieved. Thankful. Definitely a lot of good positive words. Feels weird though. It really hasn't hit me, to be honest. Yesterday with no fans, and we didn't do it at home. We didn't even play in the game, which I think it's like the fifth time it's been figured out, like who wins the title at Stamford Bridge. There was the Leicester title, and there was a couple other titles that were settled there, which seems like a place that just teams win there, and that's where the title gets decided. But overall, I'm just glad as an American that Christian Pulisic was part of it, actually played really well, which I was talking to Jake about this before. But just the fact to get to see our American, whoever, what he's going to do for the national team going forward is big. But just to see him be so dominant and lively in a game that now gets Liverpool the title is awesome. But just seeing all the fans and even the players together celebrating last night and Klopp and everybody being emotional just because it's been 30 years. Definitely, I'm going to get emotional at some point. I don't know when it really hits me, but I'm very excited to see what happens in the future.
Yeah, it was very well deserved. I really couldn't see a way of you guys bottling it, even though you've been known to bottle in the past. But this year did not seem like you were willing to. I don't think you were going to. The gap grew each week, and it just seemed like, yeah, they have to win it. And it's just when is it going to happen? And I'm happy that it was Christian Pulisic was the guy to kind of get the ball rolling. He didn't get the winning goal per se because the De Bruyne equalizer was amazing. Willian actually getting the nail in the coffin, but actually having Pulisic be the guy to really get the ball rolling and really get Chelsea into the game and really give Liverpool that hope that, okay, this will be the night we're going to do it. It's really exciting for that. It's good to see Pulisic do that. And yeah, Liverpool, like I said, they deserved it. Champions League winners last year. This year, absolutely dominated the league in any way possible. Almost going, completely invincible, but they couldn't, unfortunately. But I will say though that they had an amazing season and is well deserved, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. And I was telling Christian beforehand that I'm really happy for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, I ventured onto his Instagram page today while I was bored because, you know, COVID and nothing really to do on Friday. But I kind of saw how happy he was, and I saw this what's it called? A video he posted, and it was kind of like him as a child growing up as a Reds fan, and I believe he came out of the academy, right? And him kind of growing up, and they were singing his chant in the video, and I mean, it just kind of like hit me in a special way because I'm like, man, I'm never gonna be able to get to experience that as a Tottenham fan because we are the worst board in the league and ownership group, but
I don't know. I don't know. Continue.
but I kind of was like, you know what? This would be like if Danny Rose won a Premier League title with us or something like that. So I was like really happy for Trent, and Trent's one of my favorite players. He's a fun guy to watch. I mean, his free kicks are insane. Like that goal he scored against why am I blanking the team name?
Chelsea?
Right.
Yeah. And they were. I mean, he's such a great player, and it's kind of like when you see someone coming out of the youth program and doing all that, like that's just great. So I was really happy for him. I was really happy for you. And Liver Spurs lives on. You know, we're winning it next year, man. Jose, the serial winner, is gonna bring Tottenham home a trophy. I'm telling you, man.
We're not letting that. We're not letting that run. I do want to really just Jurgen Klopp really has been I think in my opinion the best manager in the world the last 2 seasons easily. I don't really think it's close either. The work that he's done since he's come to Liverpool completely changed the whole club around. Who he signed, how he's molded the players, handled the pressure. Honestly, it's been amazing. It's amazing when Klopp can create a system and literally everyone has to adapt to that system. He doesn't have to change it all. It's just he has what he wants to play and no one can stop them. And it's just amazing to see what Liverpool can do, what they have done. And honestly, it's scary because this Liverpool team it's not going to be 1 year. This could be a team that lasts for multiple years, winning titles, whether it be the Champions League, FA Cup, Prem, whatever. This is a really solidly built team, and I'm afraid as an Arsenal fan, as I should be, but as well as other teams around the league should be, because this is a really great team that is going to be great for years to come, I think.
At some point, we're going to have a conversation about Pep being a fraud. This man has so much money, and he got blown out of the water by Klopp with less money. Klopp makes work with. He finds studs who are not really seen by their original teams. He gets them on the low, and he turns them into studs. We saw it with Salah. We saw it with Mane. We saw it with Virgil. Well, Pep, how do you lose like that? How do you blown out trying to defend a title like this? It's poor, despicable behavior. Make it a race. He has all the funds in the world. Well, what is he doing? What is he doing with his club?
Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said today?
I did not.
Because they asked him about, like, what are you about to do next season? And I think because he knows the joke with City is they spend money a lot. He's like, oh, we'll spend more money. We'll buy more people, more.
They're linked with Colombi now. They're linked with him now. They're going to get him? Come on. That's not fair. I don't understand how he doesn't win the league every single year and how he doesn't win Champions League every single year. He literally has the most funds in the world. I don't understand it. He's a fraud. He's a massive fraud. He only wins when he's at Barcelona with Messi.
We'll get into that. We can have a whole talk about that.
I can't wait because I've been saying this for a long time. Yes.
Oh yeah, and I jumped on the bandwagon as well. I agree with you to an extent. I do agree with you to an extent, and we will have the conversation for sure.
Oh, I can't wait, man. Can't wait. And speaking of what Christian brought up earlier about Christian Pulisic, let's get on that topic. Our American, our future World Cup winner. Christian, what do you have to say about that? Because I know you're a huge fan of him.
It's easy for me. I already know what I want to say. The kid's got to start for Chelsea. I don't care where you play him. Werner's coming in. Hakim Ziyech is coming in. Get the kid in the starting lineup, please. He deserves to be there. He just showed it yesterday. He's going to keep showing it, and I think that there's no question the kid's got to be in the starting lineup. You see yesterday, he's got the ability to bring players through. He gets himself in the space. He takes on defenders, and he's showing composure, which is the biggest thing for him. The biggest thing is he's got to become better as a finisher. He's going to play forward. He's probably going to play on the left or the right. He's shown he can play in the center for the United States. But yesterday he showed the ability to probably be the best player on the field for Chelsea going forward, especially he got subbed off late, but he played pretty much the entire 90 minutes. But there were 4 times where he pretty much was in a great opportunity to score. Some of it wasn't his fault that they didn't, but there was obviously the one chance where he got past Gundogan and Benjamin Mendy for Man City, and then Mendy lunged in, and then he was pretty much one-on-one with Ederson. Gave himself better angles.
Mendy.
Yeah, and then Ederson, he got the ball. He slid the ball past Ederson, but there was one time where, and another point with him being able to play with both sides is he was switched at one point with Willian, and he went to the right, and then made a darting run towards the near post, which Ederson saved it, but still made a great run to get himself in a chance. And then there were some other opportunities, especially in the second half when he got through. Andres Christensen tried to find Tammy Abraham, the forward for Chelsea. Then it went through him, and it was pretty much a one-on-one versus Fernandinho and Pulisic. And Pulisic showed his pace, and Fernandinho's in his mid-30s and just can't catch him, which he had a horrible day yesterday as he got the red card. But Kyle Walker I don't know where he found the ability to get to that ball and kept it from going in, which we can complain with Pulisic not putting enough power on the ball, but he showed great balance because he was off balance when Fernandinho's slide tackle missed the slide tackle and also was tugging his shirt from the back and then got past Ederson, was off balance, then got composed and almost put the ball in. But overall, all I got to say is that kid has got to start for Chelsea every single week.
Yeah, I agree completely. And, some people say he's my twin. They say I'm a Christian Pulisic lookalike. But yeah, this man.
What? No.
you don't think so?
Continue, but no.
This man is 21 years old. He's in the Premier League. I mean, he started off at Dortmund, where I think that's first off, I want to say Dortmund, great place for Americans to start off your career. I mean, Germany, the Bundesliga. Now, we could go on to another topic. We could talk about how it's not really competitive as Bayern Munich has now won the title eight years in a row. But man, that's a great breeding ground for great young talent. We see Sancho. That man's a stud. He's still at Dortmund, and Pulisic. I think both those players are going to be studs, and I think for Pulisic, he needs playing time. If he doesn't get playing time, how's he going to get better? Yes, practice pitch, but if you're not on the field, you're not going to really get better. And I think we know he's the best, far and away the best player on the U.S. men's national team. And I think with his competition just growing and he's showing that he could do it against the best in the world and the supposed best team in England, obviously not anymore, but the team that should be the best team in England. He's showing he could do it against the best. And I think that was important. A lot of people were like, I've heard a little bit. People were like, oh, he was doing it in Germany. Germany's not the best. And those were some of the Premier League snobs out there. But he's now doing it in the Premier League. And I know there's the American bias in England where they don't really like American players because, we call it soccer and they get a little pissy about that. But, at some point, Frank Lampard's got to be like, how do I keep this guy out of the lineup? Like, you have to be an idiot to keep him out of the lineup at some point. If he's outperforming Ziyech when he comes in, you got to start him. And I think competition's always for the best. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, looking at it from as an American football fan, you don't really see too many U.S. players break through at the top level. There are multiple players in the national team in the U.S. that are playing in Germany, all over Europe and whatnot. And we've seen some play in the Premier League. We've seen Clint Dempsey play in the Premier League, and he's played well.
Come on,
but we've never seen somebody. I'm not going to get into that because he played for the club. I'm not going to get into that club. Yes, I was going to say he played for Fulham, and he played pretty decently well. Definitely other players I can't remember right now, but I do know that seeing. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm seeing.
He was on Everton, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tim Howard being probably the best U.S. keeper. I wouldn't say ever. I don't know U.S. keepers like that, but he has to kind of be most iconic.
For that game against Belgium, though, I remember being
yeah.
at my church. We had a watch party at my church for that game, and we were just like, "What is this man doing?" Like he had like, how many saves was it?
15, I think.
I think 15 or 16, something crazy.
And that team was filled
he's
with
a legend in his own right.
like that. That Belgium team was like right before they were about to be like insane. They had Jan, they had Vertonghen, Jan and Toby. They had KDB, Lukaku. Come on, man. Like I'm surprised they didn't win a World Cup, but again, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, you can really talk about like golden generation teams that never really got to accomplish what they should have. But looking back at like Pulisic and being an American football fan, watching in the UK, watching the Prem, seeing someone play at a top level against top opposition, city that should be challenging for a Champions League title, seeing him play that well, you kind of realize, how high can he go? Because he's so good right now. Lampard has to continue to start him, continue to play him. He has to be a regular fixture in the starting lineup. I think this is he's like one of the first, maybe not the first, because there's been Clint Dempsey and others that have played in the Prem and just made a name for themselves in the Prem. And hopefully in the next, couple years, we can see more Americans integrate into the Prem, play for teams and get good minutes and make an impact. I think Pulisic is one of the players that can do that as an attacker. That's just super quick. Like you said, that's work on his finishing. But as like a winger or even like an attacking midfielding role, he is so quick, good with his feet, good dribbler. I think he's one of the best wingers right now. I mean, on form at least in England, easily. If you just play him per 90 minutes, he's doing great numbers. I can't see why Frank Lampard won't keep him in the team. But Pulisic is just a great player. I think he's got off to Chelsea slow because of the transfer from Dortmund, and I don't know if Frank wanted to play him that much. But every time he's come on, he's shown that I should be starting. And I think that he's starting to see that on a larger scale now. And I'm hoping to see more from him. Even though I don't want Chelsea to win, I don't like them to win, I'll have Pulisic score 20 goals, whatever. As long as he finishes above Chelsea, I'm okay.
I want him transferred to like a Barcelona or Real Madrid, something like that. I want him out of the Prem. I want to root for him and not have to be like, oh, he's on Chelsea. That stinks. Like, I want him to score as much as possible in the losses.
Send him to Spurs then. Send him to Spurs.
He's not getting in our team. He's not getting in our team. He's not starting over Son. He's not starting over Son. He's not starting over Kane. He's not starting over Bergwijn. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. No, stop. He's not starting
Bergwijn much higher than you think. You rate Bergwijn a lot higher than everyone else does.
5 games.
He has a couple.
Five games, and he has like 3 goals already.
He has a couple decent goals, and then a fumbled goal against De Gea that he should have saved. But we're not going to really get into that. And he's a good player, but Pulisic, I'm putting him at right wing above Bergwijn. That's just how I'm going with it. I'm sorry.
I'd say give them Lucas. Love me Lucas, but you could take him and do like a split between Pulisic and
terrible
Bergwijn.
deal. Terrible business.
Oh, of course. Chelsea would never take that. Chelsea would never take that. But I mean, in a perfect world.
Oh yeah.
Do you rate him higher than Pepe, by the way? Do you rate Pulisic over Pepe?
Pulisic?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not arguing against numbers. If Pulisic is playing 90 minutes, he's probably doing more than Pepe is. But I'm gonna say that I like Pepe. I still like Pepe. I think when he gets compared to like Zaha, who we were in for and we didn't buy, and other players like that, and he has better stats than a lot of those players, then it's kind of like, okay, so what are we really arguing if he's a better player per 90 minutes? But I would say Pulisic, I can't really argue. If it's Pulisic or Pepe, that's tough for me. I've grown to like Pepe a lot. I think he's a great player, and I think next year and the years after, you'll see how good he really is. And this year has been slow for him. I'm not going to lie. When he has more goals and assists than Zaha, who you rate very highly, Joe.
I do rate Zaha highly, but he plays on a terrible team. He plays on what?
Doesn't matter. He's still in the same league playing this. He's in the top 10 team playing the exact same, in the same opposition, but has less goals and less assists. Make it make sense.
I don't know. All I know is I rate Zaha. Hey, you paid £72 million for this bum.
Here we go. Price tag.
It's a price tag now.
How much did the Pulisic transfer cost?
Not is it around that? I don't remember.
Maybe 40?
look it up.
Maybe 40. I'm not sure. I can't. I really wouldn't be able to tell off the top of my head.
No, I'm
But,
on the Wikipedia page, so let's see.
Okay. I'm just saying I really like Pepe. So.
58 million pounds.
Okay, so closer to 60. 12 pounds off. 12 million pounds, sorry. Pulisic is more efficient than Pepe, for sure. I can't argue that. But I like Pepe. I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's playing decent this year. I think it's just his price tag. People like throw the numbers around his price tag and, he's not scoring 50 goals, 50 assists. I think he's a decent player. He's playing better than a lot of wingers in the Prem, and he's one of the most tricky dribblers. The only thing he has a problem with is his end product. His finishing in the final third isn't as the best. But his dribbling, he terrorizes left backs all over the league.
Hey, it's not like my 27 million pound right wing Bergwijn. I mean, I'll take him over both of them.
You're going all 5 games.
5 games. We're talking value. We're talking value right now. We're talking value. Value? Oh, for sure.
Oh, so Bergwijn's probably 100 million by your standard, right? Because he scored 5 goals in 5 games.
Hey,
so he's a Mbappe money, right?
If you're paying 72 million pounds for Nicolas Pepe, I would pay 120 for Bergwijn at that rate.
Oh.
If that's what we're going off. If that's what we're going off. That's what we're going off.
Spurs were linked with Pepe too. So.
I'm happy we didn't.
I don't really want
to waste some money.
Poor. It's poor from you. I mean, I think Bergwijn is going to be a good player, but judging him off of like 5-6 games he's played, you really cannot say he's the best. I don't know if this is in the recording or not. Joe did say that he was the best winger in London.
I forgot Zaha played in London. I forgot Zaha played in London. I do rate Zaha over all of them. And
Pepe's better than Zaha this season.
I mean, he is fair. So
we're talking value. All right. Anyway, speaking of another French player in the Premier League and in North London, we're going to take a shift to N17 and talk about Tanguy and Ndombele spat with Jose Mourinho. And because I'm the Spurs fan here, as obviously you could tell, my extreme bias. So here's what I think. So basically, I mean, I actually just wrote an article on this. It's going to be published soon. I'm going to link that. We could put that in the description in the YouTube page once it gets posted, because I kind of go into a lot of detail on there. But basically, he comes in here, 62 million pounds plus add-ons. So he's one biggest transfer to Spurs in our club's history. Comes in, first game, scores a goal against Aston Villa to equalize and give us all the momentum to go on to win. He ends up continuing to play, but he doesn't play a lot. He plays, but he's not getting full 90 minutes of action. And anyway, Jose Mourinho comes in. He's still playing a little bit, still not getting his full 90 minutes because he's not in the best shape, not the most fit player out there. And the turning point comes in the Burnley game right before the COVID break, where he gets pulled after 45 minutes after the first half. And Jose comes out and says, it would have been better in the first half we were playing without a midfield. And I'm not talking about Oliver Skip because he's 19 years old and he's been playing a lot of games in the past, couple days. So basically threw Tanguy under the bus, which is something we know he does. This man is a serial winner and also a serial throw his players under the bus because I don't know why he does it, but anyway. Actually, I think I might know why he does it. This is why I'm going to make a connection to American football right here. We know what happened with the Ben Roethlisberger Antonio Brown situation. We know how he kind of went in the radio show, said, I wish I threw it to Juju in that Broncos game. And basically that started the whole thing that went with Antonio Brown going crazy. Little known fact that other than Ben Roethlisberger apologists like myself know, he did the same thing to James Washington that year. Basically said he needs to play better. He's not really there yet. We need to be. I can't trust him right now. I need to be able to have trust in him. We look what he did last year with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. He played extremely well. He had a breakout season. I mean, it worked for him. Some players it works for, some players it doesn't. So maybe this is his way of getting players to work. This is Jose's way of getting players to kind of get in shape and get to work. So who knows? Maybe that's his way. I don't know why he wouldn't change it after you see what happened with Paul Pogba and what happened at United. But, I mean, if that's what he thinks works, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, to continue, what happens during COVID break, this dude, Jose Mourinho, shows up to this dude in Ndombele's apartment complex, rings on the thing and says, come down, we're going for a run. It had a whole training session with him, Davinson Sanchez, and Ryan Sessegnon. So, I mean, they broke rules. They were in a park. I mean, they got in trouble for that. Typical Jose stuff. And then we come back. He sings praises of Tanguy. He's a great player. He's showing a lot more enthusiasm being here. He wants to win. He wants to play. And then he doesn't get – then they choose Jedson over him as a sub in the Man United game. Doesn't see the pitch in the West Ham game. And then it comes out shortly after the West Ham game, like 6 minutes after the game, actually, that ties have been cut between Mourinho and Ndombele. They're not on talking terms anymore. And Ndombele wants to stay at the club, but he wants to play for a different manager. So I personally think there's fault on both sides. Jose's got to stop calling people out. It doesn't work. At the same time, you can't bench Gio for him right now. Gio's in too good of a form. I rate Gio very highly. And we don't have a CDM right now, so we're playing a 4-3-2-1. A 4-2-3-1, I should say. And, I mean, you're not going to bench Sissoko because of his high motor. And, we know how Jose plays a defensive style of football. If Ndombele, while an amazing player, and I rate him so highly, we've seen him have lapses in defense. We've seen him not always be willing to track back all the way. And if he doesn't think he could trust that, he's not going to play. What I think we should do is, I was telling Christian earlier, go to a 4-3-3. After the summer transfer window, pick up I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Højbjerg.
Højbjerg
Right?
from Southampton.
Yeah, that's CDM. Play him the CDM. Play Gio Lo Celso and Tanguy and Ndombele as a little bit more advanced center mid, because they're so creative. They can really fill that void of Dele. Have Dele come off the bench or transfer him and get something else at some point, because he's not as much as I love Dele, he's not in great form. And then run up top your three attackers in Son Heung-min, Harry Kane, and Steven Bergwijn. And I just want to know what your guys' thoughts on this situation.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first, Christian. I'm going to wait. Yeah.
All right, so just going off what you said about Mourinho and Pogba, that definitely settles with me personally, because you can see now what Pogba's doing with Ole and not what he was doing with Mourinho. Mourinho he was playing every week and he's been injured this year, but you can see the mentality that Pogba has now versus when he had Mourinho as his manager. So I don't think that works when you just bury somebody in the press and you pretty much just say anything negative about him and nothing good. That definitely doesn't work for me. But Ndombele, 23 years old, came from France, was a big transfer from Lyon. I think he's got to play. Whether you don't like him, this or that, the dude's talented. Find a way to get him in the team. You paid a ton of money for him. It's not – why make this such a big move if he's not going to play? It makes no sense to me. But I think you got to find a way to get that guy in the team.
I feel bad for Ndombele personally. First, because he chose Tottenham Hotspur. That's already just an L, first of all. But second of all, if you're not going to go into the club he went to, fine. But he was bought by Maurizio Pochettino, if I'm not mistaken, not Jose Mourinho. So this is not a Mourinho signing. So he went into Tottenham thinking, I'm going to play under Pochettino, and it's going to be good. And obviously Pochettino liked him, wanted him on the team. And then, Pochettino is out now, and now Mourinho's in. We know Mourinho's track record with, being a serial winner, but also tearing apart dressing rooms after he wins. So when you go to a club that doesn't win, what's really the thing now? You're going to just ruin the dressing room, or you're going to win? Which one are you going to do? You're going to do both, because obviously at Spurs you're not going to win. To be fair. But Tanguy and Ndombele, I think he's a quality player. I haven't seen enough of him in the Prem to see if he's like certified, like he's a great player. I've seen great moments from him, but he hasn't played a lot under Mourinho, and when he has, he's been thrown under the bus, and now he's saying he doesn't want to play for him. look, the way Mourinho is, he's not getting sacked from Spurs. So Ndombele is not playing at all. Unless Mourinho or Ndombele come together and have a compromise or they decide to talk it over or whatnot, which I don't see happening as Mourinho, he's stuck to like what he believes. I don't see Tanguy playing for them for the rest of the season. And this summer, he has to evaluate if he wants to stay at Spurs. He talk to Mourinho, do whatever. Because if I'm Mourinho and I am who I am, I'm not gonna bend my like what I believe just to appease Ndombele. If I'm Ndombele, if I said I'm not gonna play for him anymore, I'm not gonna stay here if he's gonna be the manager, and they're not gonna get rid of Jose. So it's a weird situation to be in if you're a Spurs fan. I think that Ndombele is quality, and he would be very helpful for your team. I think Dele shouldn't be coming off the bench because he's one of your best players. Other than Harry Kane, the most like iconic Spurs player, like just in the last I don't know how many years. You can't have him come off the bench for Tanguy Ndombele, especially if he doesn't want to play for Jose. If I'm Dele, I want to leave. I don't want to stay if I'm going to come off the bench, even if it's for every other week. Because how his form going to get better if he's on the bench every other week? I think Spurs need to figure out what they want to do. Jose is either going to be Jose's the main person in this situation. It's not Tanguy Ndombele. That's why I feel bad for him because he has no control situation. It's either Jose decides to, I'm going to swallow my pride, I'm going to work with Tanguy and tell him, here, I want to do this with you and work with you. Or he's going to be stubborn.
That's the thing. He is. Why else would he have that training session? If he really didn't care about him, would he not be going out? Would he not be singing his praises to the press since lockdown? I understand what you're saying. Yes, he did throw him under the bus, but since then he's really only been singing praises. He's never really thrown him under the bus. He's never been like he's not working hard in practice. That's why he's not playing. He hasn't said that. He said right now he's just not fitting into my team, and that has to do with us not having a CDM. We don't have a CDM, and we just can't trust Tanguy to play that defensive ball right now. You could put him at cam. I could see us putting him at cam, but we know how Jose rates Dele. He's not going to move Dele in that situation. But again, I mean, you can't just put him in some place where he's not fit to play right now because you're sacrificing your team. So while I want Ndombele to play, I just think we should just change formations personally because I agree with you, Christian. I agree with you, Jacob. I think he's too quality to sit on the bench. I think he's a stud. I think he has the potential to be one of the best midfielders in the world. But just to say he's throwing him under the bus, I think is a little unfair to Jose at this point because we've seen him throw people under the bus, and this isn't on the same level yet, may I add. Also, I think it's important to add that I don't think Jose would have put Ndombele on the bench for the West Ham game if Ndombele actually said that to him. I think this said to Jose that he doesn't want to play for him anymore. I think this was a move by his camp to try to get more playing time personally. I think he probably because this came out on French TV. Because I mean, you guys can agree. Do you think Jose would put him on the bench if there was an issue between them, like that, where he said, "I don't want to play for you anymore"?
If it was a thing by his camp to say, "Oh, we're not going to play for him," so now Jose's going to, "Oh, let me play him now." Jose's the type of guy. If you tell him disrespect him to his face, he will not play you.
Exactly. Like he wouldn't have even made the bench.
This misconception. Yeah. There's a misconception that like if you say that, oh, let's like start a drama with him in the press that he's gonna be pressured to play him. Jose is one of the rare managers where you can say anything to him, he has his mind made up. If you disrespect him, he will not play you. That's proven. So I don't understand why they thought maybe he'll play because of what he said. That just means he doesn't want to play for him. That's what it says to me, at least.
Yeah. I just hope the situation gets better because he's so quality. I mean, Christian and I were talking earlier. There's one idea that there might be a 2-year loan deal with Barcelona where we send Tanguy over there and we get Coutinho back. I don't want that. I don't think that's a good move for Spurs. I mean, again, you have the attacking midfielder spot with Dele right now. I mean, I don't really rate Coutinho. I'm sorry. I know Christian might, being that Coutinho was on Liverpool for a long time and he played very well over there. But since his move to Barcelona and him playing at Bayern Munich in Germany, he's been very mediocre. I mean, and there's a lot of criticism you could give Dele right now. He hasn't looked great recently. He hasn't looked his prime self, but he's still out there and he still has a chance to do well. I mean, his track record, who knows what's going to happen. He looked pretty good first few games under Mourinho since lockdown. I mean, it's been lockdown. Who knows what's going to happen? And even before that, he didn't have any attacking options. They basically had to play him at striker with Lucas Moura, and that's not going to work. But, I mean, it's not a good problem for Spurs to be in, but it is a good problem, if that makes sense. I mean, you don't want this, but, I mean, look at the midfield right now. You have Moussa Sissoko, very good player. I mean, I know Jake doesn't rate him that much, but he's one of the most important players to Spurs, and I think we can all admit that. Gio Lo Celso, who's looked like a stud in his
quality
games out there. Harry Winks, I don't rate Harry Winks that much, but he's still a good player. You could fill in the spots there, and you're not losing too much. And right now, Tanguy Ndombele. I mean, and then Delhi, if you want to. I mean, attacking midfielder. I'm talking more center mids, but yeah, and
Eric
Delhi.
Lamela.
Get him out of my club. Get that bum out of my club.
I shouldn't have said anything. But that Barcelona deal you just mentioned would be terrible for both clubs, by the way.
I agree.
Tanguy and his career could be finished if he goes to Barcelona, like finished.
I agree. I don't see how
if he's having problems at Spurs, going to Barcelona is not a good look. And Coutinho going the other way, that's poor business from both clubs.
Yeah, it's like the Alexis Sanchez Mkhitaryan deal. It's just a lose-lose for both clubs. I mean, both teams
everyone lost.
Everyone lost. I mean, at least you could say that. Like, you could be like, oh, they lost too, so I mean, who cares? Like, but I mean, it's a good problem, and Jose's gonna have to figure it out. I trust Jose. I know Jacob thinks he's washed. I don't know what Christian's view on him is, but I mean, I trust him to figure this out, and I think that they'll figure this out. I think we're gonna go into the summer transfer window, and we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna come out next year, and we're gonna compete for top 4 and hopefully a European championship. Europa League.
Sure.
Yeah. Christian would know about you winning titles, but Spurs, I don't know.
Hey, you don't know about winning in the European stage, do you?
Here we go.
Yeah.
That's for another day.
English merchants.
I don't want to get in. I murdered in a group chat. I'm not going to get into it. Let's just not get into it. Let's move on, please.
You know what this is for? North London Derby Week.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
I got nothing to say.
That's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you after match week 31. It's crazy. I mean, we just started up, and we're almost done with the season. So let's enjoy it while we have it, boys. See y'all later.